Tenths Motorsports, where we're gonna set the horsepower record that this dyno has ever seen. It's probably gonna break. We're gonna spin the roller off. And that's all I have to say about that. Right through the back. So we're gonna see how much horsepower this makes before we rebuild, aka build the new motor, which is conveniently laid into a million pieces here. So all of this will be going together today, hopefully. That will be coming out, and then we're gonna re-dyno at the end and see if there are any gains to be made. It's all about the gains.
Naturally. It's an ambitious day. Especially given that it's almost 10 o'clock and we haven't started doing
No, we still have this beautiful pile of parts.
I thought we'd have the old engine out.
Our Volkswagen guy got called into work.
Which is frightening.
Which is very frightening because he was gonna babysit and tell us what not to do mostly. And now he's in the national labs without his phone, so we can't even call to ask questions. Oh, I'm so scared.
Oh, don't worry, Dan. Don't worry, Dan. We have a book.
Oh. What do we got? Volkswagens for Dummies.
I'm on page 5.
Oh!
So I think
you got this.
Yeah,
I have
okay.
all the faith in the world.
100 pages.
100 pages
power.
of amazing. Okay, well, there's that. The struggle bus. Look at the air fuel. Look, that's what you want to see. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, that's horsepower.
Is it? If it's hitting all the red, that's a good thing.
That's what you call redlining. That's redlining.
Oh my God!
Wow. Double the torque.
Yes!
3291. I was 3 off.
You were fucking on it.
3,900 RPM. 65 torques though. 65 torques.
Look at that curve. It just goes down as you make RPM.
We didn't even get to crossover.
No. Oh my God. So we dynoed the van. It made at least 1,000 horsepower, and now we begin the process
Don't lie to him.
at 11 o'clock in the afternoon of removing the old motor and then building that pile of parts. So let the fun begin.
Here comes the fun, baby.
So we got the motor out of the van. It is now on a stand, which is attached to a desk. Yeah, that's right. It's a desk stand because this is basically a model, a scale replica model of an engine. And now we're going through the process of disassembling it to a point to mimic this engine into being this engine and then slapping it back in. Hoorah!
Feeling my shots.
Yeah, dude.
Jesse.
Jay Wood, I'm telling. How long have we been working on this?
Started at 11.
What time is it now?
2:30 in the morning.
Oh my God. Day 2. Not much better than day 1. We had to disassemble and reassemble the motor again. The pistons were in backwards. There wasn't any sealant in between the sleeve and the casing. We're still having issues with everything else.
That's not supposed to have friction.
That's not supposed to have friction. This one's nice and free. That one feels great. Anyway, he's over there smashing things with a hammer.
It's working.
Sure. There's my time lapse, just killing it. 128 gigabytes of time lapse. This is Casey and Miles from Oneclickstick bringing the wrap to us since we suck at life and couldn't rebuild a simple Volkswagen motor. So now they're having to make things happen so we can get this done on time. Getting everything lined up. They make custom stickers, mostly slaps like the ones you see all over the side of this van. So if you do need stickers, always make sure to hit up oneclickstick.com and they can make that ish happen on the quick. So Casey and Oneclickstick, like always, killed the wrap. They are going to print the rest of these curves. They need to do more measuring, but the rest of it looks absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. So they got the roof thing to do. They got a little bit here, that table in there, and these back and the front, and then they're done, and this thing is ready to fully send. And good riddance. This has been 3 weeks of a hellacious time. 2:30 in the AM. Oneclickstick, just one click stuck. The whole wrap on, and they're still working on the motor for like the 8th time. Ask me if I'm stoked about that later.
How does it look?
I know I'm vlogging, bro.
Whoa, sick.
But it looks fantastic. Felipe is loving the aesthetic.
Dude, it flows with my vibe.
His vibe is fully tindered. This thing is looking happy as a clam. Fully wrapped, fully sick. Grateful Dead, hot yoga, stole my waist.
Put that on.
And smoke it. Right there. Still plugging away at the old motor, day 3. Learning the very, very harsh reality that Type 2 motors are very difficult to work with because dual port, single port, different parts don't line up by millimeters. We've had to modify almost everything to get it back on because most of our stuff is single port, but some of the stuff on our old motor was dual port.
Upgrade, baby.
Yeah, upgrades, right? Question mark. But yeah, so we are getting subframes on, the ducts are on.
Our ducks are in a row. Finally.
Ducts are in a row, look at that. They're now in a row. Our ducts are in a row. Carburetor's on, had to modify it. The linkage wouldn't clear on one of these sides. Over there, wouldn't clear that side, so I had to modify that. We had to take this bracket off because apparently the dual port motors have these ears, and this bracket that we modified earlier was the ears on the non-dual port motor because those would have been here.
So now it's entirely unnecessary.
So our angry duck on this side, because he has an eyebrow,
You've heard of
our
that.
pile of parts is slowly diminishing. There's still a lot more than I'm comfortable with. I fixed the running lights that broke all the way around this thing, so now we actually have the cool lighting that I designed, as well as just regular white lighting if you are so inclined. Got that plate off. So this thing is getting close. It's getting close. I just wanted to get your hat with all the cats on it. There it is. Boop. Holy smokes. Days and days and days and days and weeks. What feels like months have gone by since I started this VW van project for Chinatown Market, for the Grateful Dead, for Donut Media, for Whiskey Garage, and now doing it for Tenths Motorsports, who are nice enough to allow us to work in their shop, taking over their tools, their resources, some of their employees, their dyno, their lift. For 4 days now, basically, we took over their shop. So I am in a huge amount of debt to these guys for doing this. I cannot thank them enough. If you are in Albuquerque and you need a shop for dynos, for alignments, for anything, make sure to give them a try. Everything that we've done here has been awesome. They've got one of my favorite people on the planet, Scottie. He's been working on my drift car since I started doing FD, and even before then. Yeah, Tenths, we could not have done this without you. Thank you so very much. More shout outs go again to Will and Jeremy from Next Level Paint for knocking that sucker out in one day. Had that taken any more time than it did, we would not have finished this even now. Like, we were so far behind with the engine build. It all lined up because those guys were so awesome. Same thing with Oneclickstick. They've done my vinyl for a very long time, on and off, a bunch of my FD stuff, and now they came and killed it by driving over here, driving back with measurements, driving back over with equipment, and getting the wrap done again in one day. We could not have done this without any of those people, especially Rocky from General Parts. He was the actual savior of all of this. Without his knowledge, the motor would probably be blown up. We would have blown up that oil cooler and just gave it call to quits. That's what we would have done. So this is the conclusion to this chapter of this van's life, and thankfully mine, because I don't want to be doing this anymore, but I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So I will be heading to California on Tuesday to film the reactions of Deadhead and the crew from Chinatown, delivering the van to them. So that'll be interesting, and I'll film that as well. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this footage. Sure as shit isn't going to make it into any of the donut videos, so I guess I'm going to have to edit something together. It's going to be 94% time lapses, but that's it. What a learning project. Made some new friendships, and that's it. I'm out. Had to head back to General Parts. So Rocky was in his own element with his own tools at his own shop, got the idle going. It should run like a scathing ape. So we finished up the van very late again last night. The Donut Media guys had to take off early this morning, and I'm back over here at Tenths Motorsports, where we are going to finally put the bus back on for its actual gains, because we did not have it running well enough to do so last time. So I quickly brought it back over to Rocky over at General Parts. He tuned in the new carb that we put on it, and now she's back up on the rollers, as you can see. Scottie's going to explain a few things about this particular Dyno Graph.
Alright, so what we're looking at here is at the 2500 RPM and above, the J-Bug's motor makes superior power. It may not seem like much. Down here, you know, it's only, what is this, 57 foot-pounds and 64, so a minor increase of, what's that, like 7 foot-pounds. But up here, around 3500 RPM, the J-Bug's motor starts really showing how much better it is. So you're looking at about 11 horsepower gain right here, and also 11 foot-pounds of torque. So when you're on the throttle, the J-Bug's motor will pay off. Down low, really low cruising, there's not much of a payoff. You know, 2500 RPM, you're still a better power. The throttle response is lacking right here because the camshaft is pretty big. So the camshaft, you may lose a little power down low, and also some fine tuning. You may be able to pick this difference up. Once again, it's not much difference. It's only 6 horsepower difference. But up here, when you get into high RPM, you know, 3600 RPM or so, 11 horsepower gain may not sound like much, but when you're starting at 30 horsepower, that's massive.
It's 1/3 extra horsepower.
Yeah,
That's 1/3 extra horsepower.
Yeah, the percentage gain is
Huge.
Significant.
Huge.
25% gain? Or 33%?
33% gain. It's huge.
And you feel it.
Oh.
Dan driving the bus?
It felt like I was gonna do a wheelie.
Yeah. So it may not look like much on the dyno graph, and it really isn't. But it matters of how it feels to the customer and also where we're starting from. And it just has style. So that's what you deal with.
Well, thank you, Tenths, for having us. Thank you, Scottie, for letting us dyno this thing again and putting up with us this whole time. It was an experience, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
It was rough.
It was rough. All right, now it's time to drive this thing to California.
Light turn back on.
It sounds better, it runs better. It's time to load it up on the trailer and head out to California land.